For professional advice with a personal touch, consult F.L. Fuller Landau, Chartered Professional Accountants and Business Advisors. Click on flmontreal.com.
Good evening. Welcome to today's Entrepreneur, a program about the entrepreneurial spirit that drives Quebec business. My name is Dan Delmar, along with FL Montreal's Josh Miller. Good evening, Josh.
Hello, Dan.
And welcome back as well. This evening on the program, we're going to be talking about jewelry, and specifically for engagements and wedding rings with the folks from Point Internationale, Derrick and Kim Chin. They'll be along in a little bit. But afterwards, we'll talk with Natalie Riviere of Cometa, our web marketing guru, on how to decipher your online stats. So that is all on the way.
We're not talking about taxes, Dan. It's April 29th. There's lots of people finishing up their tax returns, but we're going to save the show for the entrepreneur.
If they haven't finished yet, they have until
tomorrow night, midnight, to get things in. Most people file it online. It's pretty easy. They have to do that. If they have a refund, I guess you can kind of delay a little bit, although the government's getting a little picky with timing. And if you have a business, or you're self-employed and you have your own business, you technically have till June 15th to file. Your taxes are owing April 30th, but you technically have until June 15th to file, so there will be no penalty for filing by then.
I've made that mistake before. You have to pay now, file later.
Pay now. It's always like that. That's why they want installments during the year. Pay now, support our debt, support our brokenness, and file later.
All right, let's get into some entrepreneurial news stories for this week. The future of fashion is made to order, according to Farfetch. What is Farfetch?
This is a guy that's actually a fashion company that started 2 weeks after Lehman Brothers crashed, after that whole financial crisis. So it's actually quite a long article that I read in Fast Company magazine. But really the takeaway is coming back to a topic that we've spoken about a lot, and that is consumers and consumerism, and how much the companies of today are going to, I guess, work with the consumers to such a great degree that it's customizing their solutions. It's collecting big data, it's collecting individual data, and it's about how companies need to start catering to consumers on a very personalized, one-on-one, in that real, true consumer sense. And it's a long article. It's many, many pages long. But the one I wanted to focus about, other than the fact that this guy really turned something from a horrendous time to get into business, again, in the fall of 2008, but eventually, over the years, started realizing that customization for consumers is absolutely where to go. The other thing I'll add, and the other thing that came out in this article, and there were many things, but we'll only touch on a couple of them. Another thing that came out, he said, everybody serves a purpose. The big box stores need the little box stores. Why? Because the little box stores are the ones innovating. So the big box stores, all these designers and little box stores, often ultimately end up in the big box stores to get the trend out. But the little box stores need the big box stores because there's volume. They do marketing. They can show other trends and what's going on. So there's always a purpose for everybody in this lovely ecosystem we call e-commerce and fashion.
This is from Inc.com. Inside the lab where Gatorade is transforming itself into a tech company. Interesting story, but I would also point out that Gatorade was really at the forefront of nutritional tech for a long time. That's how they started.
They're all about hydrating the body. They've been about that forever and a day. You have any sport or any activity, whether you're at a sports complex, a golf course, there's always some type of Gatorade there. Now, technology has to come into play at some point. We were talking about data. We were talking about customizing for consumers just before with Farfetch. This is really no different. They're testing the market. They're testing individuals. They're putting sweat patches on athletes to measure the amount of sweat that they do in performing any and every activity or sport that you can imagine. Because what they know and what they've always been based on is that everybody needs hydration. But everybody needs hydration to a different level and to a different degree, and everybody sweats differently and has different sized pores or whatever you want to call it. I'm sure I'm not being technically correct, so all the doctors out there are cringing. Bottom line is, Gatorade is out there trying to customize their product based on individual consumers. And this technology can go anywhere, because once you're managing. I mean, we've heard so many entrepreneurs and read so many articles about individualization. Forget the Internet of Things. Forget the big data. It's the individual ones that capturing that. I think that's something that Gatorade absolutely knows is here now and definitely in the future, and they are jumping all over it.
Also from Inc.com, 5 simple tweaks that can turn your website visitors into paying customers.
And these are kind of common sense, and Dan, you kind of live this too, living in your online world. There's a few of them here. One of them, and you really got to do it. If there's an objection, if your customer has objected to you in some way, shape, or form, don't hide from it. Just come out and deal with it. Don't shy away from it. That's no good. One thing here is actually really important. They said, make sure your microcopy is in order. Microcopy. Now, what they term as microcopy is make sure all the buttons on your website work. Make sure your calls to action are there and obvious. Make sure the message is consistent from on your landing pages. So the microcopy is actually pretty important. And then they of course continue with the call to action. Call to action. If you want a call to action, well, make sure it's visible. Make sure it's easily identifiable. How many times do you have a little mini call to action button amongst this huge text and all these images, and it doesn't really stand out?
Or what kind of click on this thing, or you should be able to click on what you want to click on.
You should, make it a different color, make it bright, make it bigger, have a sign me up or schedule a call or something that's in there. They go into a few other things. And I think one of the last point that they have is be consistent with your brand. If your brand is high quality, don't have crappy pictures or, be consistent. If somebody's visiting your website, let them have the right visual experience.
And take your own pictures. It's okay to use stock photos sometimes, but take your own stock photos and illustrate exactly what your business is doing. I encourage that a lot too.
No question. And if you are going to take stock photos, that's okay, because not everybody has a budget or time to do that, but just find the right ones. And there's plenty of open free websites that you can take from. Unsplash. Many people use Unsplash to get their photos. Just, there's lots of resources out there. Be mindful about it.
Finally, from the Financial Post, the subscription box trend and why consumers are loving these businesses.
And, this is a little bit kind of guerrilla marketing-ish. How do you get your new product out there? Well, subscription boxes, they are growing like leaps and bounds. Basically, that is where consumers are trying a whole bunch of new things. I'm going to subscribe to this company that's going to give me new lotions or new makeup, and try different, or different varieties of food every now and then. They get a new box every month or every other month.
We got one for dog toys.
And you can get one for dog toys. I'm sure you haven't done that, Dan.
I admit it. We've done it.
That's okay. And price aside, it gives you a great opportunity to see what's out there in the market. So if you're bringing out a new product, well, maybe you find the right company that's doing these subscription boxes and throw it in there. It's a way to grow. It's a way to get your product out there. And then as people like it and enjoy it, then jump on that bandwagon.
All right, today's entrepreneur. Let's get it going with the guys from Point International. They are on the way. And Natalie Riviere from Cometa Marketing a little later on online marketing and how to make sense of some of those stats that you get from your online campaigns and how you know it's successful.
For professional advice with a personal touch, consult FL Fuller Landau, Chartered Professional Accountants and Business Advisors. Click on flmontreal.com.
Inspiring stories from outstanding business people. Dan Delmar and FL Montreal's Josh Miller with you. And this evening, let's welcome our profile, Derrick Hui and Kim Chin of Point International. Welcome, guys.
Hello. You guys doing good?
Good, great. Welcome to CJD.
Excellent. And, first time, first question, and very simple so the listener understands what you guys do. What is Point International?
Yes, so at Point International, we are strongly focused on engagement rings and customized wedding bands. And we are really just trying to revamp the whole diamond industry in Montreal. And we're actually located in Phillips Square.
Mm-hmm. So you retail outfit or wholesale?
Yes, we retail.
Okay, so it's really more. Do you do all kinds of jewelry, or is it really focusing on certain specifics?
We are really focused on customizing like diamond engagement rings and wedding bands with high end.
Excellent. Now, how long ago did this start?
It's about I've started the business 4 years ago, and we actually just started in a small showroom on McGill College, and the reason why I started is that we actually just started from trade shows when I used to work with my parents, and from then I've learned a lot in diamonds and jewelry, and then most of my friends around, they are trying, like they knew about what I was doing, and then in the same time I just started to customize some jewelry piece for them.
So, Derrick, you said you grew up in the family business. What did you see in this area that needed to change, that needed to be disrupted?
Yes, that's a really good question. We have some clients before, and who actually just came into our office, and then there are some. I mean, she brought like a diamond ring, and she was suspecting that there's some red reflection on the diamond. And from then, I've took on the diamond and really checked that it might be a treated diamond. And then from then, we actually realized that there might be a need in this market where there's a lack of knowledge in this industry. And usually this industry is usually unsaid and reserved.
And because, and I've heard this from many people before, how do I know it's a real diamond? How do I know it's the right cut? How do I know I'm not getting sold? So is there an aspect of education? First of all, there's a knowledge aspect. There's no question. You don't just come into this business and knowing it off the top of your head.
Yeah, exactly.
So it definitely takes some time to gain that knowledge. So let's start with the first aspect of gaining the knowledge and what you kind of see in your business and how you want to be true to that. And I don't know if it goes back to the family business and how you gain that knowledge, or you go to school. Like how does that work?
I mean, you can always go do the traditional way, where you can go to get a certificate at the Gemological Institute of America, GIA, or you have a school for jewelers in Montreal also. But we kind of like approached the industry in a more like traditional way. We had a good resources, strong contacts, and we just made it happen from there. And when you ask the question about, how can someone know about if it's a real diamond, if it's a good, I think the initial question should be like, who should I go to? Why should I trust this jeweler instead of the other one? I think when you approach it like this, it's already a good beginning to like, is the diamond good or is it not good?
And there's a quote from Warren Buffett that says, if you don't know jewelry, know the jeweler.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so when you're starting up in this business, because you started 4 years ago, jewelry business, there are many jewelers in Montreal. There's it's a long time industry here in Montreal. How do you ensure that you get trusted? How do you ensure that they can walk into your place and say, hey, I can trust these guys even though they're brand new and they're new to the Montreal scene?
So me and Kim, we actually just developed a code where we strongly believe that diamonds are like our philosophy, in which we focus strongly in the transparency.
Mm-hmm.
And trust is really at point of view, and also like our vision and our mission, just to clarify on those aspects.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you speak about trust, we're young, but I feel like we're kind of like still old school in a lot of subjects. So, when you meet someone for the first time, after speaking to them for like 1 or 2 minutes, you have an idea if you should trust that person or not. And most people, without hesitating, they sit down in front of me and Derrick, we chat for a few minutes, and they know they can trust us. So we do not emphasize on trying to make people trust us. People, in general terms, they just do.
But at some point, they have to believe that the diamond is, for want of a better term, real versus fake. How do you prove that?
That's a good question. So we are really focused on GIA diamonds, and GIA certified diamond is
GIA mean GIA?
GIA, yeah. So Gemological Institute of America. So it's a third-party non-profit organization that grade those stones. It's definitely used worldwide, and since they're non-profit, you can really trust on this third party. And those graders, they specialize on grading different kind of diamonds, and they usually have 2-3 graders to grade the same diamond.
What are the trends now in terms of diamonds? Colored diamonds. What I see your website. You have some kind of like all kinds of different shapes and sizes I didn't know existed. What's the latest trend? What's popular these days?
Yeah, Dan, you're not just asking for yourself, right?
I may. Let's not say that on the air, but maybe we'll ask for future reference.
Well, round diamond cut is definitely one of the most popular one. Is the one where there's 57 cuts, and the reason why it lasts till now, it's because of the brilliance and the scintillation of that diamond. It's always trendy.
Yeah, definitely. You see, like, you've seen some new diamond shapes coming in the industry. Like in the 50s, the princess cut was very popular. In the 70s, the cushion cut came in, which was prettier than the princess cut. But you just notice the round cut, the round one, with 57 cuts. You have one of the most cuts on one diamond, makes it the most shiny and scintillation. Most likely is that diamond shape that is really timeless.
Yeah, more cuts, more shine, I guess.
Yeah, definitely,
Gotcha.
definitely.
Oh, you're becoming an expert, Dan.
Apparently.
It doesn't take much. So that means that, because the original question was how do we make sure that the customer knows that it's a real cut? So you always have this GIA, this certificate that comes with every single diamond. Do you do it for every single gem that you purchase?
Yeah, definitely. And the good thing is that it's not us grading the diamond. So sometimes you would find in other jewelry shops where, you know, there's no rule saying you cannot grade your own diamond. So tomorrow, if I decide to grade my own diamond, I can grade them and name it the certificate under Kim. And a lot of people do that in Montreal. We won't disclose who, but we're just really confident in the way we provide things because we purchase our diamond with certificate from a non-profit that also offer school programs in the industry. So we're really not biased when it comes to our diamonds.
And there are some certificate that we see that are made from their own. It really looks like a paper card, and in the same time you'll also see the evaluation of the diamond, which is double the price of.
This is absolutely something that's a value that you need to keep and adhere to. Is this something that you felt you were raised with? Is this from your family business, from your parents? Is this something that was instilled within you?
Yes. So my parents are really like my mentors, and they've also running a wholesale and manufacturer jewelry business for over 40 years. So my mindset really come from them that I need to be trustful and also to build like an honest business.
Okay, more with Derrick and Kim Chin from Point International on their business. We'll talk a bit of marketing as well, how to market these beautiful products, and later Natalie Riviere of Cometa on getting your web marketing down and getting to know your online stats. That's all on the way on today's Entrepreneur.
For professional advice with a personal touch, consult FL Fuller Landau, Chartered Professional Accountants and Business Advisors. Click on flmontreal.com.
Welcome back to today's Entrepreneur, a program about the entrepreneurial spirit that drives Quebec business. My name is Dan Delmar, along with FL Montreal's Josh Miller, or is it Diamond Dan Delmar? We're talking about
the triple D,
gemstones. Yeah.
D cube.
You're worse than my mother, Josh. But I am in the market. I might be in the market soon. So we're talking with Derrick and Kim Chin of Point International. They sell diamonds, wedding bands, engagement rings, things of that nature. Coming up, we'll talk a bit more about marketing with Natalie Riviere of Cometa on web marketing and deciphering your online stats. But guys, let's talk a bit more about the way you guys work. And for my generation, ethical diamonds are very important, right? You know, we want to buy everything ethically. What's your stance on that, and where you source your diamonds, and how we can feel good about buying them?
Yeah, sure. How can we make sure that the diamonds are conflict free? As we mentioned earlier, most of our diamonds we always get it from GIA, and when you purchase a diamond from GIA, it's quite legitimate, as in like they give you all the information you need. Where is it from? Is it from Canada? Is it from Israel or Switzerland? And with the GIA certificate, you would find. I'm going to take it back. GIA in 2002 invented this process called the Kimberley process, which is pretty much a merge of government identities and private too, and they just merged together to create this association to basically get rid of all conflict diamonds in the world. So we have about at least 17 to 18 years of a very clean diamond all around circling.
And it's around 99%.
Yeah, 99.9
ethical diamonds.
So when you're buying them, and you're a new business, and there's cash flow that has to come into play. Is there such things as credit terms in the diamond world?
For diamond suppliers, mostly there's no cash payment terms. So even if you're buying half a carat or 1 carat, there's no payment term.
Cash before delivery. Cash before you get them.
Yes.
And even in the history with your whole family business and them turning it, that still had no effect. In this industry, this is pretty much how it works.
That's correct. So mostly maybe max 2-3 days, but that's it.
And when you're from your customer standpoint, obviously they have to pay you before they get their diamonds. But it's not just about diamonds. There's also about the ring. It's also about the design of the ring, right? So you're working with designers as well. Do you design the own rings, or your customers come in and kind of tell you what they want? How does that work?
Yes. So my family actually owns like a jewelry manufacturer, and we actually have like a design team inside, and in the same thing, we have a good quality control, and also to just stick on the design that we want. And in the same time, we have some other suppliers or some partners in Montreal that we do a lot of 3D molding, and then we print the wax out, and also just to create a fully custom piece for our clients.
So that's kind of so your customers can kind of see or feel in advance what it might really look like?
Yeah, definitely. They see the ring in a wax mold before we start the production, if we do a custom printing. Yeah.
Do you now let's kind of switch to your roles for a second. You guys are seeming like two different characters. Do you guys have the same role? Are you really doing two different things? How is your working relationship? Do you step on each other's toes a lot? Do you
all the time?
So we have, me and Kim, we have a lot of in common where for the past year, we really focus on our state of mind. And we have a book sharing every month, and we go to gym together, and that really changed our routine for our personal growth, and that really helps us to stay in the team spirit.
And when you're running the business, is there one of you that deals more with customers? Is it one of you deals more with the suppliers, one more with marketing, or do you both really do everything together?
Well, Derrick would deal with a lot of suppliers from Hong Kong because I unfortunately don't speak Cantonese or Mandarin. I would deal a lot with suppliers from Montreal. And when it comes to customers, we pretty much serve the customer together at the same time. Some people might like him more than me, and other people,
So now let's talk a little bit marketing. 4 years ago, nobody knew you existed. So what did you do for marketing? How did you get the word out? How do people know that Point International existed?
So we really started just by word of mouth. We did a lounge party on Hyatt Hotel, and we invited really just like a lean startup where we just invite our close friends, and from that we really got our first like the appointments for any customization for rings.
Yeah, and honestly, when it comes to marketing, we tried a lot of things. We tried, Facebook ads, Google ads, but
did they work?
The payment worked. if the
They took the
the
payment.
ROI,
That
I'm
worked.
not sure how well it worked, but we just took it the old traditional way. Sometime me and Derrick, we were very involved in our community. Always make sure to always assist to the um, quarterly session by the Cambodian community. We assist to the YCPA, Young Chinese Professional Association, always show our face. And we noticed that the old method works very well. Again, we might be young, but we're a little bit old traditional. Sometimes you need to sit down with a person, have a supper, have a good conversation, and then you might have a client.
Now, from a marketing standpoint, you look at your competition. Your competition probably has a whole wide variety of gemstones and designs and gold. Do you guys stick to what you do, like specifically? Have you ever looked and said, you know what, maybe we need to expand our product line? What do you think of that from a marketing aspect, from a product development aspect? What have you thought?
So for now, we're really focused on certified diamonds, and we are really focused on the kind of like the necessity of the jewelry industry, where most couple will still get the engagement ring and wedding bands, and in another hand, we really less focus on some big designs. Back in days, like from 8-10 years ago, we were really focused on all the designs and some other gold color and some other gemstones.
So you're not going to expand that product. You're going to stay true to what you know.
That's correct.
Yeah, like we work a lot, like he said, with engagement ring and wedding bands. A lot of people come ask us, "Are you going to do per se nose studs? Are you going to do those piercing on the belly and stuff like that?" Which we don't really do, and I think right now we don't see the interest yet on going into those market. We're really just trying to stick to what we know is best. Pretty much everything related to love.
Yeah, and our one main mission is really to help people to make the best financial decisions, and then really to bridge those knowledge gaps that people that they don't know.
Yeah, exactly. We just feel like there's a lot of misinformation between the people and the jewelers, and hopefully we're going to be the new young guys from the new generation that is going to bridge the gap between both.
I don't know, Dan. I think a belly ring screams love to me.
It would look good on you.
Thankfully, we'll never know.
Screams infatuation.
Derrick and Kim from Point International. Guys, you're going to stick around. We're going to have your one piece of advice for today's entrepreneur on the way. And coming up next, we're going to talk to Natalie from Cometa on web marketing and how to make sense of your online stats. That is on the way.
For professional advice with a personal touch, consult FL Fuller Landau, Chartered Professional Accountants and Business Advisors. Click on flmontreal.com.
Welcome back. Inspiring stories from outstanding business people. Today's entrepreneur, Dan Delmar, and FL Montreal's Josh Miller with you. And Derrick and Kim are here from Point International. Their one piece of advice for today's entrepreneur is on the way. But first, we welcome back our marketing correspondent, Natalie Riviere of Cometa. Welcome back, Natalie.
Thanks, Dan.
And we're talking about deciphering your online stats. We come from a very different perspective on this. So you really dig in. I try to zoom out. But first, Josh, should we say what kind of stats are available for the average business owner who's maybe running a WordPress site or something like that? How deep can they get without sort of buying a giant plan?
Well, in terms of actually buying plans, there's not many, unfortunately. Like the aggregators that are available are extremely expensive, and they're not necessarily even all-inclusive in terms of what's meaningful to measure. And every single thing online has data behind it. And so if you consider the inbound marketing spectrum that touches on a brand strategy, a brand's reputation, and a brand's relationship, you can get Google Analytics for free from websites. Every social media has their own analytics and also determines how much they reveal. Your email marketing tool actually has the best analytics in terms of bringing you closest to a sale, or CRM, which is customer relationship management. And so getting to really see who literally is interested and going further with that relationship. And then, of course, search engines read data, and there's a bunch of SEO readers out there, graders that you could check your website on.
So let's delve a little bit into that email marketing and those stats. That you can see who opened it, how long they like. What are some of the things that entrepreneurs should look for so that they can really go out and try and highlight or target their next sale?
So I'd say the first thing to consider in all data is quality, because not all of it is, first of all, necessarily even a real person. So you want to filter out and determine what is
fake news, fake people.
Exactly. Bounce traffic. And it's not just a bounce rate. You might have heard of that. That used to be a pretty solid metric to look at least for websites. But now with mobile usage, people are bouncing right and left. So you want to think of the time someone spends. You want to think of how much they consume. So in a newsletter, it might be how many clicks. In a website, it would be how many pages. And so all these indicators that determine that if this is a real person, and then you can go into the behavior and the interests of the person.
Should I be insulted that most people on my list are not reading my newsletter, or is that average?
Well, the best practices in email marketing are to really, really target. And so, everyone thinks of that newsletter as like a very general thing from maybe a big brand. That doesn't really work. It depends on if you are sending really customized messages, because at the end of the day, email is the way we communicate as professionals. So what you want to do is at least separate by language, but then you can get into the different interests. And so if you have a range of services, for example, like podcasting versus PR, you might really want to drive down into that and communicate really high value, very customized content so that people know to open this as if it's a personal email. It's coming from someone that they know and they care about, and they'll take the time.
Gotcha.
Dan, when you change your moniker to Diamond Dan Delman, that for sure is gonna create a lot of love. Natalie, when you're talking about time spent on a page, like, are there averages? Is it like, if somebody spends 20 seconds or a minute and 20 seconds or 5 minutes, like what's real, what's understandable? Because for the entrepreneurs that have no clue what's going on, if they say and somebody spent 20 or 30 seconds on a page, they might say, oh, it's really not that good. But sometimes it's actually not that bad considering the movement and mobility and all that.
Right. I'd say averages in terms of time spent, like something good and healthy is between 1 and 2 minutes. 3 minutes even would be nice and long. Same thing with pages. 1 to 2 pages is normal. When you get into the 3, 4, you're offering good content. Things under 1 minute would raise the flag. But again, if it's like, let's say, one blog post that someone's consuming on mobile, they got there from a social lead, they're not going anywhere else on the website, then it's typical more and more for what we're seeing. But you can also isolate the traffic coming from mobile. So you can really get the perspective of the user.
Now, part of the stats include, and I'm slowly learning this as we go through all our own marketing, but the difference between likes and impressions and clicks, and I'm not even going to say them all right, but can maybe determine or decipher what is kind of important or maybe less important, what maybe entrepreneurs should kind of focus on versus not?
With pleasure. So you'd want to measure the reach or impressions, and generally that's Facebook calls it reach and Twitter would call it impressions. They all have their own terms, but that metric can give you a clue as to what you're investing or getting out of your investment compared to what you would have to spend for radio listens, for example, or like views on a print ad or at a bus station for a billboard. So that will orient you in terms of your budget, but they all make up these numbers. So it's really not where you want to focus. Engagement is literally the engagement happening on those posts. So things like likes, comments, shares, that's important for the super users of these channels. The really super fans will get involved, but there's so many more people online on the social media channels that aren't engaging and interacting like that. And you can see that through your link clicks. And that's really where we want to focus, because a link click represents a conversion around a post. So someone is not just consuming it on social media, but you want them to click and convert to the tool that you own. So ideally your website, which is where they could ideally give you their email and start a relationship with you.
That's a good point, because you see some of the language Facebook is using these days, like impressions or views, and it's not really precise. Someone actually making an effort to click on your website, that's a metric you can use. Exactly.
And thanks to the metrics of your website data, once you see them come from Facebook, and so the sources of traffic is extremely important to look at. The quality of those sources also can be broken down, but that Facebook click you can then follow onto your website and see their behavior from there. That Facebook user, what is their interest once they got there? What was their path? What time did they spend? And ideally, did they convert all the way into a lead? And you determine what that lead is. But at the minimum, you want their email address because, first of all, your database is worth something. And that's how you build and keep relationships.
So there are ways to drill down and get some of this information.
100%. However, it's just like a puzzle because they all come from different tools. It's not rocket science, but it's time. And that's, we know, very valuable for entrepreneurs.
No question. Thank you so much, Natalie. I know there's so much more we can drill into. And if we were visual, we could even show people. But great information, great knowledge, and challenges that entrepreneurs face every day. Thanks very much, Natalie.
Thank you.
And as we approach the last moment of our show, as we do each week, we'll turn to Derrick Hui of Point International and ask you, Derrick, what would be your one piece of advice for today's entrepreneur?
I think at the end of the day is that the entrepreneurship is a joyful journey and not a destination. And just to really enjoy the ups and downs and just be grateful of people that you've come across that really help you in your business. And one last thing is that I strongly believe in the performance, and performance is really the success because it's really the number of action that you take. And the more action you take, then you'll be approaching to your goal.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Derrick.
Thanks very much, guys. Derrick Hui and Kim Chin of Point International and Natalie Rivera of Cometa on web marketing, as usual. Thank you all. And next week, Josh, back next Monday night at 7, we're going to talk about honey.
Honey, Miel MTL.
Sounds fun. All right. Don't forget, today'sentrepreneur.org. You can listen to a decade worth of inspiring entrepreneur profiles there. And we'll see you back here next week. Good night.